Saved my son by getting full custody as a single dad. I want to be clear about something first. I never wanted it to come to this. I'm not someone who uses custody as leverage or wants to remove a mother from her child's life. I wanted co-parenting. I wanted my son to grow up with both of us present and involved. That was always the goal. It still is. My ex and I split when my son was 5. It was hard, but we kept it mostly civil, which I'm proud of because it wasn't always easy. We worked out an arrangement without too much legal involvement. She had primary during the week, I had weekends, and we were both supposed to have equal input on major decisions. For about a year, it actually held together. We communicated through text when we needed to. We were respectful at pickups, and my son seemed stable. He seemed okay. Then she met someone. Then she remarried. And I told myself that was fine, that a blended family could genuinely be a good thing, that more adults in his life meant more people looking out for him. I wanted to believe that. I tried hard to believe that. The first sign something was wrong was when he stopped talking about her house. Not in any obvious way, just a slow fade. His stories started being about school, about our weekends, about things we did together. Her house quietly disappeared from his conversation. When I asked about it directly, he'd give me one word and change the subject every time. Then he started calling me from the bathroom, not because the signal was better in there, because it was the only room with a lock on the door. He'd call late, after 9 sometimes, voice low, asking if he could just come home. I'd ask what was going on, and he'd talk slowly, like he was carefully choosing each thing before he said it out loud. His stepdad's kids had taken over his room. His things kept disappearing. Clothes, a controller, a book he'd been reading. He wasn't allowed at the dinner table until the stepkids were finished eating, so most nights he stood at the counter alone. He told me once, in an extremely flat voice, that he wasn't allowed on the couch because the dog had been there longer and had more claim to it than he did. He said it like something he'd already made his peace with. He was 8 years old, explaining his ranking in the household to me like it was just information. I called my ex. I laid it out carefully. No accusations, just, these are the things he's telling me, I'm concerned, can we talk? She said I was coaching him. The kids always test their parents during transitions, that I was jealous of her new life and had been since the beginning, and needed to stop projecting that onto our son. She told me to let him adjust. I gave it 2 more weeks. The calls from the bathroom kept coming. He started asking me not to bring things up because it made things worse when he got back. I called a lawyer. I spent a week documenting everything. Specific dates, exact times, detailed notes on every call, what he said, what she said when I brought it up. I filed for emergency custody. My lawyer told me those were hard to get approved and to prepare for a long process. We got a hearing scheduled in 3 weeks, which she said was unusually fast. I sat down with my son and told him I was working on it. He asked if he was in trouble. I said no. He asked if his mom would be in trouble. I said I honestly didn't know. He thought about that for a quiet moment and then said okay and went back to what he was doing. The hearing was on a Tuesday morning. We got there early and sat in the hallway outside the courtroom. My son leaning against my side, not talking much, watching the door. My ex arrived about 10 minutes later with her husband and his 2 kids, all 4 of them mid-conversation and laughing about something. She glanced our way when she walked in. She didn't break stride. We sat on opposite sides of the room. I watched my son watch her for 45 minutes. She never looked over once. She was on her phone, then leaning toward her husband to say something, then smiling at something one of his kids said. Fully present and engaged, just not for him. Not even once. At some point, my son turned to me and asked very quietly whether she knew we were there. I put my arm around him and told him yes, she knew. He nodded slowly, like he was storing that information somewhere, and didn't say anything else. She didn't contest the filing. When it came time, she didn't fight it. The judge awarded me full custody with supervised visitation on her end, pending a review in 6 months. We walked out, and my son took my hand all the way to the car. He hadn't done that in a while. On the drive home, he asked me quietly if his mom would still be his mom. I said always. No question. Always. He nodded and looked out the window the rest of the way. We went home. I made pasta. Nothing fancy, just the kind he likes. He ate at the table. He sat on the couch. At bedtime, he asked if he could sleep with the door open. I said he could sleep however he wanted, for as long as he wanted. He was out in about 4 minutes. I sat in the hallway outside his room for a while, just listening to him breathe. This was his home now. It had always been his home. It just took a while for everything to